On the day of my wedding to Noah, his sister created a commotion by threatening to leap from a building. As a result, Noah didn't attend the ceremony, leaving me to manage all the guests on my own. Later, when I became pregnant and gave birth to our child, his sister repeated the same behavior. Once again, Noah abandoned me, and ultimately, everything ended in tragedy. Then, fate granted me another opportunity, and I found myself back at that tumultuous wedding. Unlike my previous life, I didn't plead with Noah not to leave. Instead, I quietly adjusted his suit and offered a gentle reminder to be cautious on his journey. Noah took my hand, filled with remorse, and apologized, explaining that Isabel needed him. His sister, whom he cherished deeply, demanded a great deal from him both materially and emotionally. Even though I was aware that Isabel wasn't genuinely intending to commit suicide, Noah still departed from the wedding, leaving me alone. I changed into a dress for the toasts and went out to entertain the guests. The wedding concluded entirely before Noah returned. Isabel had taken some pills, but she was fine now. I spoke softly, showing understanding and grace, reassuring her that everything was all right. We were married, so Isabel was now like my sister. I reiterated softly with understanding and grace that it was okay. Since we were married, Isabel was essentially my sister. Hearing this, Noah's body tensed, and his expression became subtly complex. In my previous life, I had entered this marriage without fully understanding that I was merely a facade for the brother and sister. Noah and his sister shared an unclear relationship that was hard to explain. They had the same father, but different mothers, and grew up together under one roof. Isabel had always been heavily reliant on her brother. She meddled in his romantic life and eventually interfered with any female friendships he attempted to form. Their father couldn't tolerate this and arranged for Noah and me to marry. To protect his sister's reputation, Noah reluctantly agreed to marry me. After our marriage, the siblings became inseparable. Several times when I was away, they would share the same room at night. Isabel's father insisted that family scandals should not be exposed, pressuring me not to divorce his son. I endured over 1,000 challenging days in this frustrating marriage. Then, I became pregnant, hoping things might improve, but Isabel's behavior became increasingly reckless. Miag, my second trimester, Isabel's actions nearly caused me to miscarry several times. Finally, when it was time to give birth, on the day my water broke, Isabel intentionally called Noah away, leaving me alone in a remote area without cell signal. Ultimately, both my baby and I lost our lives. Fate had played a cruel joke on me, bringing me back to the beginning. After the wedding, we returned home. Isabel was sitting barefoot in the living room. When Noah saw her, he immediately became concerned. "Isabel, why aren't you wearing shoes? What if you catch a cold in this weather?" He warmed her feet with his hands. Isabel gave me a triumphant glance. I smiled and turned back to the room, realizing that this wedding night, which was meant to be mine, belonged to Isabel instead. As expected, that night Noah didn't return. He was preoccupied with comforting his sister. The next morning, the housekeeper prepared breakfast. When I stepped outside, I saw Noah feeding Isabel milk. Isabel, now in her 20s, looked up and said in a sweet voice, "Brother is the best." Seeing me awake, Noah quickly poured me a cup of milk as well. "Mia, come have breakfast," he called. I sat down beside him and reached for a piece of toast, but Isabel snapped at me. "That's the toast my brother made just for me. You can't have it." I obediently put it back, causing her to become even more smug as she stabbed her knife into the bread, creating a sharp sound reminiscent of how she had tormented me in the past. Without hesitation, I stood up, tipping both her and the plate over. Isabel didn't see it coming and began to cry instinctively. With the feeding gone, I said coldly, "I'm leaving. You enjoy your time with your sister." Noah was stunned by the sudden change in my previously complacent demeanor. "Where are you going?" he asked awkwardly. I grabbed my bag and flashed a standard smile. "To work, of course. Since the Debois family views me as a facade, I might as well use this as a stepping stone. Isabel's father provided me with shares and money when we married, and those are valuable assets. I needed to strengthen my position by taking advantage of this opportunity." When Isabel's father saw me at work, he was surprised. "Mia, you've got a month off for your honeymoon. Why not go somewhere with Noah?" I saw through his insincere smile. In my past life, he had threatened to kill my parents if I dared to divorce him. To conceal his daughter's disgrace, he had sacrificed others' happiness. The Dubois family truly had no virtuous members. But now, I simply gave a sweet smile. "Dad, I'm just thinking about how hard you work, and I wanted to help out." He was delighted, saying, "My kids aren't as capable as you. Your new office is renovated. Let the secretary know if you need new furniture." "Thanks, Dad." Back at the office, my assistant brought me tea and casually mentioned, "I just saw Noah book 2 tickets to Disneyland in Japan. You're really lucky." I maintained a calm exterior. The tickets were definitely not for me. He was likely planning to make amends with his sister. I closed my files and instructed, "Don't let the chairman know about the tickets." In the past, Isabel's father had prevented the siblings from getting too close, making Isabel blame me more. This time, I had decided to be the best sister-in-law, supporting their forbidden love. Sure enough, the Disneyland tickets were Noah's way of reconciling with his sister. The two had been secretly keeping things from me, telling everyone they were traveling for business. Before they left, Isabel hinted at me several times, but I completely ignored her. Noah seemed somewhat guilty. "Mia, what souvenir do you want? I'll bring something back from Japan for you." I smiled at him and replied softly, "I don't need anything. Just don't work too hard." Noah still felt some responsibility towards me then. He said with remorse, "I'm sorry for putting you through this by marrying me." I got up to help him pack his luggage. Casually, I brought up, "Did you close that deal with Ryan you mentioned before?" He was surprised at first, then became suspicious. "Why are you asking? You're usually not interested in my work." "I just see you're working too hard. Have you had any time to focus on work?" He needed a capable assistant, and I was there to support him. Noah handed me the details of the deal with Ryan. "This Ryan is demanding and difficult to handle. If you can't manage it, just wait for me to get back." I glanced over the materials and quickly said, "Let me give it a shot. It won't hurt if I don't succeed." We barely talked for 10 minutes when Isabel knocked on our door. "Brother, will you come watch a movie with me?" Noah quickly put his stuff down and left. The siblings had a secret spot of their own, a theater with a starlit ceiling in the basement. Every time Isabel wanted to watch a movie, she insisted Noah be there with her. Nobody else could enter that theater, not even Isabel's parents. When she was upset, Noah spent entire nights there with her. As expected, he didn't return that night. I didn't care at all. I got up early for work the next day. With experience from a past life, I quickly adapted to the company's business. While Noah was in Japan with his sister, I managed business alongside Isabel's father. Using my expertise and insight, I quickly earned Isabel's father's appreciation and trust. He often lamented that neither of his kids were as helpful. It was me, the daughter-in-law, who was most beneficial to his business. When Isabel returned from Japan, she was in high spirits. Occasionally, she would show off the necklace Noah had bought her. "Hey, sister-in-law, you wouldn't believe it, but my brother spent 3 whole days with me in Disney. We did every ride and even bought these cool rings." She looked like a smug little girl flaunting her cleverness. I praised, "It's really pretty. Suits your complexion." She didn't expect me to remain calm. A bit thrown off, she added sarcastically, "Sister-in-law, I'm so sorry. This trip was supposed to be your honeymoon. Didn't expect my brother to ditch you to be with me." I closed the file in my hands, turned, and said seriously, "It's no big deal, sis. Anything you want, I won't compete for, but the things I want, I'll make sure your Dubois family compensates for them bit by bit." Isabel couldn't keep boasting in front of me alone. After strutting around for a while, she left, and from then on, a subtle triangle formed in our home. I pretended to be tolerant and oblivious while she acted out constantly, trying to secure her place in her brother's heart. Noah showered her with affection, and the siblings grew bolder in front of me. Isabel's parents didn't live with us. They'd occasionally visit and notice something was off, but with me covering up, it was dismissed. Noah felt guilty for neglecting me, so he introduced more clients to me in business. My work became increasingly busy. Sometimes I would stay at the office overnight. Isabel's father wasn't in the best health, often visiting the hospital. I stayed by his side, assisting with everything, registering, getting medications, seeing the doctor. Even the doctor praised, "President Noah, your daughter is very considerate." Isabel's father's smile froze, thinking his own daughter only knew how to whine and fuss. How could she be as thoughtful as me? He didn't correct the doctor, perhaps slowly accepting me as a daughter. But I couldn't forget how he had once forced me to stay in the Desbois family. After leaving the hospital, Isabel's father seemed hesitant to speak. "Mia, Dad knows marrying Noah was hard on you. Your relationship is rocky now, but a child will fix everything. Our family can't continue without an heir. You need to try hard." I played the obedient daughter-in-law, but inside I was resentful. With Isabel's unpredictable nature, if I became pregnant, I would face the same fate as before, losing the baby. Isabel's father probably felt his age catching up. Both business and family matters exhausted him. At family dinners, he began urging for a grandchild. Whenever this was mentioned, Isabel would explode. "I forbid you from having kids. In this world, my brother can only love me the most." Noah quickly tried to calm her down. "Isabel, don't be mad. Dad was just speaking hypothetically." But Isabel wouldn't relent. She forced Noah to swear that if you have a child, bad things will happen to you. Noah had no choice but to comply. I found it ridiculous. In my last life, Noah and I did have a child, but both the baby and I met a tragic end. Those who do evil never seem to face consequences. It's always the innocent who suffer. Hearing his daughter's antics, Isabel's father slammed the table. "Isabel, let me tell you, this family won't allow you to act against the natural order. Your brother and sister-in-law are already spoiling you enough. If the Desbois family has no heir, I'll blame you." Isabel yelled at her father. He didn't hold back and slapped her across the face. That was it. Isabel was already in a shaky state of mind. She immediately began crying and making a scene. Noah had to do everything he could to calm his sister down. That dinner was certainly lively. Isabel's parents were furious on the side. Isabel threw bowls, smashed plates, and even knocked over the table. Noah had to clean up and smooth things over between both sides. I simply tried to maintain a straight face, ensuring I didn't laugh. Dinner was out of the question. After taking the family home, I went out for a late-night snack, walked around downstairs a bit to digest, and then headed back home. As soon as I opened the door, there was Isabel, curled up in her brother's arms. The two were leaning on the sofa with the lights dimmed very low. In that moody atmosphere, you wouldn't want to disrupt the vibe. Isabel had tear stains on her face and had fallen asleep after making such a fuss. Noah kept holding her in the same position the entire time. Thoughtfully, I handed him a pillow and then went off to rest myself. The next day, I woke up feeling great. Noah was struggling. He hadn't slept a wink, dealing with dark circles while washing up. I handed him a cup of honey water. "Maybe skip work today and just be there for Isabel." Noah nodded tiredly. "Thanks. I owe you." It wasn't difficult for me at all. On the contrary, Ryan, who had been avoiding meeting me, finally agreed to a meeting. I had to make the most of this opportunity. At work, I prepared all the negotiation materials and headed to Ryan's company. This Ryan guy was young and talented, but really difficult. I had tried to set up a meeting with him at least 10 times, always getting shut down. Only thanks to a connection did he agree this time. Right on schedule, I waited in the conference room for a full half hour before he showed up. When Ryan walked in, the room seemed to grow heavier. The secretary politely brought me some coffee. "Miss Mia, sorry to keep you waiting." I put down the paperwork. "That's on me for being early. This is our company's info. Have a look." Ryan gave it a quick glance before speaking coolly. "You know I'm partnered with the Desbois family, yet you dare try to take over the deal." I knew I couldn't hide it. I came with a contract and genuine intent to discuss business, not on behalf of the Desbois family. As soon as I joined the Desbois group, I started building my own team. Right now, it's coming together. We're ready to handle projects on our own. I'd been using resources from Noah, taking on smaller gigs here and there, but that's not going to grow the team much. So I set my sights on Ryan. If I could secure business with him, that would allow me to break out on my own. Ryan, business is about benefits. If I can offer you a better deal and superior service, choosing me could be your best option. In this economic climate, most companies are cutting costs and boosting efficiency. I didn't believe he wouldn't be tempted. Ryan chuckled. "More than profit, I value stability and ability. How long can your small-time setup consistently deliver? Bottom line." He was tempted, but didn't trust me. "Ryan, my team can work for you without payment until you're satisfied." I flipped to the last page of the proposal. "These are past projects we've done. I have the capability to take on work independently. Give it a try. No risk to you." Maybe my sincerity got through to him. Ryan relented. He agreed to give me a 3-month trial. If he was satisfied after that, I'd secure a 3-year contract. I left his office, thanked him profusely, and worked late into the night. Noah went off to be with his sister again. Their playful noise echoed from the home theater. I got chills and hurried to bed. For the next few days, I worked late into the night, leaving me out of their way. With me not around to annoy them, the siblings became even bolder at home. Once, a neighbor saw me and joked, "Hey Mia, with you gone, it's like they're the couple instead." I just smiled and didn't respond. Yeah, they basically want to be a couple anyway. I smiled and didn't respond. They could do as they wished. For a while, I essentially lived at the office, leading the team to complete projects successfully. Even Isabel's father couldn't find faults anymore. After that disastrous family dinner, he stopped pressuring me to have children. He was terrified that his daughter might have another meltdown. If we had exposed this family drama, he'd have had nowhere to hide his reputation. With the money I saved up, I bought my parents a bigger house and some properties. My mom didn't know about the Dubois siblings and just thought I was unhappy in this marriage. She asked me a few times, "Mia, tell Mom honestly, are things off between you and Noah?" I brushed it off. "Nope, everything's fine, don't worry, Mom." She held my hand and said, "Don't worry, the money you give me, I'll save it for you. If things really don't work out, you've always got us." I nodded firmly. My parents were my only true support in this world. As for those jerks, they were just stepping stones to my success. My hustle finally caught Noah's attention. It had been ages since he went to the office. Seeing my dedication to my career made him uneasy. "Mia, you don't have to work this hard. I make more than enough for us." I immediately decided to move out. For my sister's emotions are still a bit unstable. You should really stay home and spend time with her. Honestly, I knew in my heart that Isabel's obsessive control over Noah was torturous. The siblings had grown up relying on each other. Noah had complex feelings towards her, but no matter how deep the feelings, time was the ultimate decider. Just like now, we'd barely spoken 10 words before Isabel barged in and pulled him away. "Hey bro, I want to go see the ocean. Come with me. I have 2 tickets to Hot Springs. After the ocean, you can relax there." Isabel showed a hint of disdain, but she still took the tickets. "You got lucky. I've been wanting to hit up a hot spring." I chuckled to myself. She was always using my tablet to check out different hot springs. So I went ahead and got the 2 most expensive and distant tickets. They could enjoy a nice trip for a few days. By the time they returned, I had already secured the deal with Ryan. Noah was a bit hesitant. "It'll take at least a week there and back, Isabel. I've got work to do." Isabel glanced at me. "Just let her handle it." I quickly chimed in. "Yeah, leave the company stuff to me." I went to a lot of trouble to get these tickets. It'd be a shame not to use them. Noah was still unsure, but it was almost the end of the year and work was piling up. Isabel threw a fit. "I don't care. I want to go." She started to get teary-eyed. Her usual tactic. In my past life, she always used this to keep Noah wrapped around her finger. But you use a trick too much, it loses its power. Like now, Noah was hesitant. "Isabel, I'll take you after I finish this busy period, okay? It's too much for Mia alone with all the year-end stuff." That one considerate-sounding sentence flipped Isabel's switch. She was used to controlling her brother and having the obedient Noah. I sighed. What a waste. If you're not going, I'll just give the tickets to someone else. Isabel shot me a deadly glare. Who said we're not going? She grabbed Noah's hand and the tickets, moving to the window. "If you don't come with me, I'll jump right now." Noah panicked. He hurriedly apologized and promised to take her on a week-long trip. They left without informing Isabel's parents. With me covering for them, nobody would find out. This week also happened to be the last week I had planned with Ryan. My team and I had already delivered a perfect proposal ahead of time. We secured a 3-year deal with him. After signing the contract, he made the first payment. With that startup money, I had the confidence to break away from the Dubois family with my team. My secretary, knowing my intentions, cautiously asked, "I noticed the office building next door is looking to lease. Should we check it out?" I put down my pen. No rush. There's still a big surprise yet to come. In my past life, my death had become a cover for the siblings' illicit relationship. After I died, Noah claimed he was too heartbroken to marry again. Isabel moved into our marital home under the guise of comforting her grieving brother. They lived more like a couple than many married people, minus the children. They were thriving. In this life, I leveraged the Desbois family to obtain resources and build my own venture. One day, I would leave after they paid the price. Isabel's father was hospitalized with bronchial inflammation. I brought soup to the hospital daily. "Where are Noah and Isabel? Haven't seen them around lately?" he asked. I looked troubled. Maybe they are busy with something. Isabel's father was somewhat suspicious and said angrily, "That's not how it should be. You're his wife. How can you not keep an eye on your husband?" I thought quietly to myself, "Isn't it you, as their dad, who failed to keep an eye on them?" Isabel's father sighed. "Can't count on him for anything with the company." I hurriedly served him some soup. "Don't worry, I've got the company covered." I pulled out a proposal from my bag. With the year-end approaching, I made an event proposal for the company. The Desbois Group hosted a big client appreciation event every year. It had to be a classy and lavish affair. "How about we hold it at the Hot Springs? There are star-rated hotels and beautiful scenery. After the event, folks can relax and enjoy the hot springs." Isabel's father, who was getting on in years, didn't have the energy for this. Trusting me, he gave me full authority to organize it. Then I prepared the guest list and booked the hotel and hot springs. I timed it perfectly to catch the siblings still enjoying their vacation. On the big day, I arrived early at Hot Springs. The place featured co-ed bathing with slots for 30 guests at a time. I made sure to schedule around when Isabel and her brother were soaking. I arranged for the hotel manager to clear the area and send out the tickets to Desbois Group's key partners. Ryan was included in the mix, and so I led a group into the siblings' secret spot at the hot springs. Seeing his kids in such a scene, Isabel's father passed out on the spot. The partners were stunned. Everyone had been aware of the rumors surrounding the Desbois family, but kept quiet out of politeness. Now they had the full story to share later. The Desbois family quickly became the town's biggest joke. Ryan crossed his arms and watched the drama unfold with amusement. Isabel came running out of the hot springs, wrapped in a towel, ready to attack me. "You witch! You set me up! I'm gonna beat you today!" Noah quickly stepped in to hold his sister back. It took a lot of effort, but he finally managed to calm her down. I put on a sad face. "Isabel, I treated you like my own sister, and I can't believe you'd do something like this. No matter what, you and your brother are related. What you have is a twisted love." Noah didn't look happy either. He stared at me coldly. "Mia, I didn't think you were like this." I didn't hold back. "You don't have the right to judge me." Isabel tried to jump at me again, but was dragged back to her room by Noah. Seeing that my plan had worked, I turned around to take the old man to the hospital. Once everything was settled, I returned to the hotel, and rumors had spread just as I wanted them to. "Hey, did you hear? Something's off with the Desbois siblings." "Yeah, shouldn't siblings keep a distance?" "You don't know the half of it. Noah was weirdly close to his sister even before his wedding. No wonder the old man is so upset he's sick." I listened to the whispers around me and nodded in satisfaction. That's the effect I was going for. After Noah had settled his sister, he stormed over to me. "Mia, what was that about? Did you bring us here to the hot springs just to mess with me?" My expression remained calm. My eyes drifted to the distant foggy hills, with a hazy white mist lingering around the mountains. It reminded me of my past life, unclear and directionless, fumbling around like being lost in those very mountains. But looking back now, the obstacles were just small peaks. The mist was just a trick of the eye. My life was never a cover for anyone. My fate was never to dress up for someone else's gains. "Noah, everyone has to face the consequences of their choices." His tone was hostile. "Have you ruined Isabel and me? Are you happy now?" I corrected him. "It's not me ruining you, it's you. From the beginning, when your inappropriate sibling relationship emerged, Noah failed to control it. He let his sister develop feelings she shouldn't have. And now, it's too late." "Isabel is mentally breaking down now. Are you trying to drive her mad?" I let out a cold laugh. "Don't worry, she won't go crazy. Maybe this outcome is exactly what she wanted." With Isabel's crazy personality, she didn't care about others' opinions. She wasn't bound by any value system. She just knew that this incident had shattered my marriage to her brother, and she couldn't be happier having her brother all to herself. But Noah was different. He was the oldest son of the Desbois family, raised to be the heir. He was bound by public opinion and morality. A secret affair was manageable for him, But being exposed for incestuous relations was deadly. That's where the sibling conflict escalated. Isabel's father was hospitalized due to anger. With me handling it, the annual meeting went smoothly. On the surface, everything seemed peaceful. Everyone ate and drank well. I let the rumors spread freely. Occasionally, I even spread some universally appealing gossip. In short, I wanted this situation to blow up all at once. After finishing all of this, I finally relaxed. I ordered a cup of tea at the hotel and admired the mountain view. Miyagi this season, the mountains were stunning. Trees were covered with white frost, appearing like snow-capped peaks from afar. Suddenly, someone sat across from me. I turned to see Ryan. His tone held admiration. "Decisive actions hitting the bullseye. You're quite brave." "Thank you, Ryan." He took a sip of tea. "The best white tea is locally grown and never sold outside." He glanced at my cup thoughtfully. I turned to the waiter and got him a cup, just like mine. "Yeah, the white tea is limited and never sold outside, but I own the place, so I can treat Ryan to some." Ryan didn't look surprised at all. From the moment I first sought him out, he understood what kind of person I was, keeping a calm heart, sweet-talking, and using ruthless tactics. That's what I learned after a near-death experience. "After all this, you and Noah's marriage is over, right?" I laughed. "We never got the marriage certificate. It was all to appease his darling sister. When we were getting married, Isabel insisted we leave out the legal binding, even threatening with her life to stop it, and that's how it got postponed. Now, it's saving me a lot of trouble." Ryan gently waved his hand over the steam above his cup, as if trying to grasp something intangible. He had a naturally calm and composed face, eyes that sparkled like stars in a sea of green. They were cold when observing, though you could catch a flicker when he spotted prey. "So you're single now, huh?" I shrugged. Being single isn't the most important thing for me. Ryan smiled warmly, taking a card from his pocket. "But it matters to me." The card had his private number, never shared before. It signified we could take things further. With that, Ryan left, knowing just the right moment to stop teasing. I finished my tea and went upstairs to see Isabel. She was lying in bed while Noah coaxed her to eat some porridge. "Isabel, please eat something. Your brother's asking you." She stubbornly kept her mouth shut. As soon as she saw me, she spat venomously. "Get lost, you whore." I clapped my hands 6 times. "No offense, just reminding you two, your dad's in the hospital. Maybe check on him. Isabel's dad had just pulled through a rough spot. He heard the family's dramas circulating around town and fainted again from the stress, building up to the point where the doctors barely got him on a drip. When he came to, he said, 'I can't go on feeling like I've let the Dubois ancestors down. The Dubois family's messy affairs are a joke in the circle,' talking about them for weeks." I couldn't say I wasn't amused. After everything went down, I quickly packed my stuff and moved back in with my parents. They completely supported me, urging me to cut ties with the Dubois family. After Isabel's father fell ill, he stopped managing the company. Noah had to step up, but he was rusty, and his sister was somewhat clingy, so he couldn't focus. The company's business plummeted rapidly. Noah had no choice but to swallow his pride and ask me to help out, but I had already set up my own venture next door. I established my own office and started a company, bringing over most of the clients from the Dubois days. Now, they were my clients. "Noah, when you used me back then, you had to know this day would come. Mia, no matter what, without the Dubois family, you wouldn't be here. Just this once, could you help me out? Help me. When you killed me last time, was that help? I didn't hold back. I told him to leave. After that, I didn't keep tabs on the Dubois situation, just heard the company was doing badly. Noah couldn't keep it afloat and sold it cheaply. My life took a completely new turn. I achieved wealth, status, and a thriving career. Now I could do whatever I wanted. Ryan had been hanging around my company a lot, inviting me to dinner under the guise of business talks. Even my secretary noticed. Does Ryan like you?" I just smiled and said nothing. Guys can be superficial with their affections. Now that I'm successful, he's interested. Maybe it's just curiosity, seeing a woman make it big. I neither chase nor reject. Don't shun kindness, but don't beg for love either. If I ever consider marriage again, I'm going to think it through. Ryan was patient, bringing me into his circle with resources and introducing big shots to expand my business. And I was doing my part to help him out whenever I could. Mutual benefit was the key to a lasting relationship. Finally, he couldn't hold back and asked, "What do you really want?" I thought for a moment and seriously asked, "Ryan, if I enter your circle as your woman, enjoying your resources, what happens if we split? Do those resources vanish too?" He was speechless because the answer was yes. Relationships are fragile. Like before with the Debois family, I lost my worth and no one cared if I was gone. I want to be valuable myself, not reliant on someone else for my place. That's what hit me when I got a second chance. Ryan's interest comes because I'm already valuable. I've earned a spot where he notices and likes me. Ryan said, "Your career goals don't clash with my feelings." I looked to the sky. The mountains were the same, misty and moonlit. The scenery was unchanged, but my perspective was. I used to see heavy fog. Now it was a beautiful moonlit mountain. Maybe Ryan doesn't get what I'm after. Love that's a match, equal capability, or the guts to meet at the peak. These were choices I couldn't make in my past life. That night in the wilderness with my child, I saw the mist rolling over the mountains, flowing into the endless moonlight. I realized the universe was saying, even when trapped, I could fight to survive. Ryan's a great partner, but not the one. So he kept asking, what am I really after? I had always been chasing the freedom to choose,